Hello everyone, this is Stephanie, your CSA coach, and it is week 4B of our 2025 CSA shares. One really quick announcement, the emails that get sent out on Monday, yesterday, every week, some of the emails got sent back, like I didn't receive this week's email. So Trisha is looking into the problem. The emails are posted on Facebook and they're also linked on our hub. So that's how I knew yesterday that I didn't get it. I've been doing this for a number of years. So I just went on to the Facebook group and clicked the link that Trisha posted yesterday for this week's email. So I was still able to get the information. So if you did not, every Monday you should be receiving a email from the farm with a wide variety of information, including what's in this week's share. If you didn't get the email yesterday, check your junk folder. If it's not in your junk folder, then know that we are trying to address the issue of why a bunch of emails didn't go through yesterday. We're looking into that because I happen to be one of them. But there's access to the email in other ways. So hop onto the Facebook group, find the email there, or go onto our hub and it's also there. So all of the information, there's various ways to get it. So that's the big announcement. Second, we're gonna jump right into this week's share and a lot of new things that we'll talk about, but there's also some things that we've had a bunch of times. So this week we have our salad mix, our salad greens. Comes in a plastic bag. This is the way I store it, just like this in the fridge. The less you handle it, don't wash it till you're ready to use it. Once you're ready to use it, either take a big bowl of water or fill your sink with water, throw it in, swish it around, and then throw it into your salad spinner, and then it's ready to be used. Last week, I had a bunch of company for graduation, so I was able to use up all my salad greens, all my leftover romaine, quite a few, so we used our radishes and some of my kohlrabi, a lot of things from the previous weeks in a big, huge salad. So if all else fails, that can be like a gateway to, or a segue into this week. Look at what you have from last week and throw a big salad together. Even if if you've already used all your greens, use the greens from this week. But stored in the fridge, best as a salad. The way you dress it changes up the flavor of the salad, so lightly dressed or create a fun, different dressing. So that's our first thing. We have kale. Kale, we're gonna store in a Ziploc bag or a small Debbie Meyer green bag because it's a different variety of kale this week. It can be eaten, storing it in the fridge, sorry. It can be eaten raw or it can be cooked down. A simple saute, just any of our greens, a nice simple light saute works really well. This kale is amazing as a salad green, so lightly dressed, and then you can do a massaged salad or just leave it as is. On the website, I know there's recipes for, I think there's a kale pesto, there's ranch kale chips. There's simple sauteed greens. So if you're wondering how we constantly talk about sauteing greens, take a look at the simple sauteed greens recipe. And there's also a PDF for that. But super yummy, full of nutritious value, stored in the fridge. We have scallions, and we've been getting scallions a lot. Stored in the fridge, I have large Debbie Meyer green bags. You can also put them upright into a glass of water and store them that way. That's just a dangerous way for me to store something this large with lots of boys in my house. So I store it in a Ziploc bag or a Debbie Meyer green bag. These have a light onion flavor. So great as a garnish, great added to salads. You can do a scallion cream cheese or a scallion compound butter. You can dehydrate them. So if you're still have abundant scallions from previous weeks, think about preserving them, either freezing them or dehydrating them. I like dehydrating them. You can make dips. You can actually dehydrate them and then turn them into a powder. So that's another option for preservation. We have turnips. Anytime we have a bulb vegetable, we want to remove the greens. So very first thing you're going to do is remove those greens, store them in a separate bag. The bulbs get stored in a separate bag, both in the fridge. Greens can be a simple saute. They can be lightly dressed as a salad, or they can be tossed into your freezer bag for future veggie broth. The bottoms, they're very mild. You can thinly slice them and throw them on top of a salad. That's what I usually do. You can roast them, or you can saute them. So cut them up in various ways, throw them onto a roasted pan, throw it into the oven and roast like that, or just do a simple saute. You can do a saute with the greens as well. So you can do a combo with the bulbs and the greens. Obviously the greens aren't going to take as long as the bulbs. We have radishes. So same idea with the radishes. We're going to chop off the tops, store them in a separate bag, put the bottoms in a separate bag in the fridge. Radishes, we used all our radishes from last week in a salad, so I just thinly sliced them and threw them in a salad. You can pickle them. Oh, you can pickle the turnips too. They're really good pickled. And then I love pickling vegetables and then turning them into a topping on like tacos or burgers. The other option is doing like a salsa, a different type of salsa. So you could do a radish salsa or a turnip salsa, or combine them both and look up different recipes for that. Radishes can be roasted, they can be sauteed, they can be eaten raw, and they can be pickled. So lots of options there. We have broccoli. So there's the broccoli I store in a Ziploc bag typically, throw it in the fridge, and then once I'm ready to use it, I fill a large bowl of water and then I put a little salt in the water, Fill the bowl with water, add a little bit of salt, swish it around, and then throw your heads of broccoli in. It'll pull out any pests that might be hiding in the florets. Pull it out, and then you can eat broccoli raw. You can do a simple blanch and turn it into like a salad. You can saute it, you can roast it. We love roasted broccoli, and then I like doing a quick blanch and throwing it into a salad. Those are probably our two favorite ways to eat broccoli. There are recipes, if you go back to that email from yesterday, Trisha always posts links to recipes that pertain to ingredients that you have this week. So take a look at those first. That will help you with different ideas. We have escarole. Escarole gets stored in the fridge. I use a really large Debbie Meyer green bag because it's a huge head. Throw it in the fridge. Once you're ready to use it, rinse it off, chop it up. You can eat it raw. You can saute it just like you would any other green. It's really good in soups. My favorite way to eat escarole, I'll be honest, it wasn't one of my favorite vegetables for a very long time. And then a couple of years ago, I developed an escarole salad that is amazing. So if you have not tried that salad yet, it is on the website. I think it has apples and dates in it along with the escarole, but it's so fresh and so yummy and really easy. But it's a great way to use your escarole. My kids don't even know that it's escarole when I'm making that salad, and they eat it really well. So escarole. We have large cucumbers. Get stored in your crisper drawer in the fridge. These can be eaten as a snack. They can be chopped up on top of salads. Pretty much those are what we use, but you can also use them. You can pickle them. You can throw them into salsas. They pair really well with like a mango, so you could do a mango and cucumber salsa. You could just make, since we got 2 large ones, you could just make a cucumber salad. Options, recipe options are also on the website for cucumbers. We got to pick sugar snap peas. So I posted earlier today, when you go to pick, the fields are muddy, so wear appropriate footwear. But you're going to pick fat pods. You want the fatter pods. We got to pick a bunch of them. These get stored in the fridge, just in a container like this. No special instructions there other than keep them cold. Once you're ready to use them, wash them off, clean them up, and then either serve them as a snack, or you can saute them. They're really good in stir fries. I'll be honest, I'm not sure I've ever used these for any sort of recipe because we absolutely love sugar snap peas in our house. So they rarely make it home. We tend to snack on them on the ride home. But when they do, all I'm gonna do is rinse these off, clean them up, throw them in a bowl. And that's the extent of what we do with sugar snap peas. People will just pass the table and grab a few and eat them before dinner tonight. So they'll likely be gone before we even sit down for dinner. So that's our favorite way to use them. Certainly you could do the same thing and bag them up for lunches. So a great snack. I prefer them raw, but you can saute them or add them to our stir fry. That works as well. 2 more items. We have basil. I already took the basil and put it into a glass of water. Basil is our one herb that likes to stay at room temperature. So put it in a glass of water and put it on the counter. Basil is great for pestos. It's great for salad dressings. We are going to make like a bruschetta, tomato, mozzarella, basil concoction this week with our basil. Once we have basil from last week, so if you have a lot, I highly recommend making a pesto and then freezing that. And if you freeze it in little like ice cube trays, you can just pull out single servings of the pesto. Great on top of pastas, on top of chicken or a fish. So pesto is always a great option. So that's our basil. Last but not least, we have garlic scapes. This is one of my favorite treats for the beginning of the CSA season. Pretty sure that this week's recipe is gonna showcase these guys, but they're a light garlic flavor. So throw them in a bag, store them in the fridge, or just throw them right in your crisper drawer and store them in the fridge. These will last. So not something you necessarily need to use right away. Hold on to them for Thursday. I'm pretty sure that there's at least 1 or 2 recipes I began developing for these. You can freeze them, so you can rinse them off, chop them up, throw them in a Ziploc bag and throw them in the freezer. You can use them just as a mild garlic flavor. So if you've been following me for a while, listening to me for a while, for years, I love garlic. So I add a lot of these when sauteing vegetables, or if I'm making a dressing. They can be used in like a pesto, so pair it with your basil and turn it into a pesto. I love garlic. I love the flavor of garlic. I love the smell of garlic, so I add a lot. But they're mild, much more mild than a clove of garlic. So you need to use more if you want the strength of it, like a garlic clove. So all you do to use them is chop off that bud. That gets thrown into your veggie scrap bag, chop them up. I've actually also left them whole, just lightly oiled them and put them on the grill and grilled them whole. And then they're a fun side for like a steak or a chicken dinner. But lots of things you can do with garlic scapes. And that is it for this week. I will see you guys all again next week.